What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and I am here with a late review, you guys. I apologize to anybody who does watch my Golden Bachelor reviews. I apologize that I have not done these reviews in now, 2 weeks. So we are back today before we go ahead and wrap up the season of the Golden Bachelor, you guys. So this is going to be me covering episodes number 4 through 6, you guys. So before we go ahead and just jump into the live, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and then having me pay for it at the end of it. And you guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your post notifications. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this episode review of The Golden Bachelor, shall we? Now, you guys, what I will say is I don't intend to be on here too long. And like I said, I know this is going to be me talking about episodes 4 through 6. Really and truly, I don't have much to talk about from episode 4. I do remember episode 4. I actually watched that last week, and that was the episode where Trista came in and saw the ladies. And much like I've said plenty of times before about Teresa, Teresa is very oblivious because when she was talking to Trista, and she was once again talking about her dates with Gary, I was like, oh my God. And you know how that makes a certain person feel. The only thing that I want to say from that episode is that I was kind of happy to see what is her? I was kind of happy to see Kathy go. It was time for Kathy to go. I will say that Kathy was bringing the mood down, and I'm kind of happy to see Kathy go. Now, can somebody tell me if is it just me, but does Kathy look like Caitlyn Jenner? And I'm not saying that she's like looks like a trans woman. I'm just saying her face. She just resembles Caitlyn in a way. But yeah, in episode number, like I said, episode number 4, Kathy went home, and I wasn't sad to see Kathy go. Really wasn't. It was Kathy's time to go. So we got down to the final 6 women at that point, and it was Susan, Sandra, uh, Miss Ellen, Teresa, Faith, and Leslie. Now, what I will say is, I am so shocked that Teresa has made it as far as she has. I don't think that Teresa's a bad person, but I am very shocked that Teresa's made it this far in this process. And the first person to go on a date with Gary in that episode, which was episode number 5, it was Leslie. And Leslie got, they went on a very romantic date. They flew over, they flew over the city. And like I said, it was a very sweet date. So in that episode, she was the one who got the first rose. Now, you guys know that I'm not that familiar with Bachelor Nation, so I don't necessarily know how the Bachelor works. But I do know that every season they do have hometowns. But the women were thinking that it was going to be down to the final 4. But Jesse came in and told them, no, it's actually going to be the final 3 women. So at that point, 3 women were going home. Now, again, like I said, I'm not familiar with the original concept of The Bachelor, but isn't there something called the fantasy suites? Like I think they have something called the fantasy suites, but I don't think that the Golden Bachelor did that. And I guess it could also be because these people are of a different age bracket. They don't do the things that the young kids do. That could be one thing. But yeah, so like I said, at this point with the hometowns, it's only going to be, it's going to be Gary and 3 other women that he picked. So the first one is going to be Leslie, right? And so we all saw them as they went on a group date. And when they went on the group date, Gary had individual time with all of the ladies. And instead of him giving a rose out in that moment and just having the final rose to give at the rose ceremony, he couldn't do it. One thing I will say about Gary is very emotional. And I think it's because he tries to put himself in the women's shoes and he doesn't necessarily want to hurt them in the end of this process. And I absolutely respect that. And, I have no problems with that. But like I said, Gary is very emotional That is one thing I can definitely say about Gary is that he's an emotional person. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. So we didn't get to the final rose ceremony, the rose ceremony of this episode that gets it down to the final three. And remember, I told you he's already given out a rose to Leslie, so it's down to five other women that he has to five other women, and he's only given out two roses. So the first rose went to Teresa, and like I said, I was pleasantly surprised that it went to Teresa. I was shocked that he gave Teresa a rose. And again, it's not me saying anything negative or bad about Teresa. I just thought it was odd that he gave Teresa a rose. So then after that, he gave the final rose of the night to, or did he give? No, scratch that, you guys. He gave the first rose to Faith. Him and Faith went on the first date in the episode. And then he came back and gave Teresa and Leslie the final two roses. And because I had, you guys, to be honest with you guys, I had kind of forgotten about Faith in this process because I remember Faith is the one that got the first impression rose. But after that, I didn't really saw much of Faith. We ain't really saw much of Faith in the last few episodes. I might have to go back and listen to my reviews, but I don't remember much of Faith in the last few episodes that we got. So in the end, it is coming down to, the hometowns. We are going to the hometowns of Faith, Teresa, and Leslie. Now, if I have to put my money on who I think Gary is going to pick in the final rose ceremony, ooh, that's going to be an interesting one. So let me say this before I even talk about the hometown visits. I do see that Gary has a connection with each of the women, and I think each connection is very different. And I'll tell you guys why I say that. Now, Teresa, I do think he has a connection to Teresa. I don't think that Gary is falling in love with Teresa or even in love with Teresa. I think Teresa makes Gary feel good, and I think that's what's pushed Teresa forward each rose ceremony is the way that she looks at him and the way that she makes him feel. But I don't necessarily believe that Gary is 100% in love or falling in love with Teresa. With Faith, I think with Faith, he could see himself falling in love with Faith, but I don't think it's going to be Faith either. Ultimately, right now, my money is kind of on Leslie. I think that Gary's going to pick Leslie in the end, but I want you guys to definitely tell me who you guys think that Gary will end up with in the end. But that's what I feel. But we'll see next week because next week is, like I said, we get the continuation of episode 6. Excuse me, y'all. We get the continuation of episode 6, and then we'll get the women tell all. So I guess it's going to be whatever happens next week. Then the women tell all, and then the final rose ceremony. And then after the final rose, if that is correct, please chime in and let me know if I got that correct. Because again, like I said, I'm very new to Bachelor Nation, but I'm very much so interested in Bachelor Nation. And I'm thinking about adding The Bachelor to my review schedule. I have not made up my mind 100% yet, but it is a strong contender right now. We shall see. Because I'm very curious to see what the original Bachelor gives at. Because with this iteration of The Bachelor, these are people who have had careers or still have careers, and they've been in love with people. They've been married before. They have children and they have grandchildren. So they're not necessarily looking for what someone in their 20s is looking for. And I feel like most times with The Bachelor, those people go on there looking for, you know, I feel like those people who typically go on the original Bachelor, sometimes I feel like they're looking for social media followers, influencer deals and things of that nature. But with these batch of people, that's not necessarily what they're not looking for. That they're looking for that person that they can spend, the last half of their life with, the last leg of their life with. And this show has hooked me in. So and I think the numbers are good for the Golden Bachelor. So I do believe that we will be getting another season. I'm even cool with the Golden Bachelorette. Whatever we get in the golden era, I am here for it, and I'm definitely sticking to the Golden Bachelor or Bachelorette if we get one. What would be interesting for me to see is if one of the, because I know typically what they do in the original Bachelor and Bachelorette, they typically pick someone from the current season to bring them back for either the Bachelorette or the Bachelor. So I would be cool if they took one of the women from this season. Now, it'll depend on, I think we can see next week who goes home. If Teresa goes home, I don't know if I would want to see Teresa as a Golden Bachelorette. No shade to Teresa. I don't think I would want to see it. If he didn't pick Faith or Leslie, I think I would be cool with seeing those two come back. Let me know what you guys think as well. So we get to the hometowns. With the hometowns, the first place we went, the first person's family we saw was Teresa's family. And this was the point of the episode where I was like, I don't necessarily believe that Gary is in love with Teresa. I just don't see it. I think he just has a deep appreciation for Teresa. I found this on the web. I'm not talking to you. I think Gary has a deep appreciation for Teresa. That's what I think. Because at one point, Teresa's daughter asked Gary, was she asked his, Gary's daughter, not Gary, but Teresa's daughter asked Gary if he's in love with her mother. He didn't necessarily answer that question. And I think the reason why he didn't answer that question is because no, he's not in love with her, because he did at one point talk about the way she looks at him, the way she makes him feel. Never anything about her per se. But let me know what you guys think as well. That's the thing that I noticed in this scene. What I will say is Teresa's grandkids were so cute. When her grandsons were talking about the fact that she takes selfies and she uses she does the duck lips. I thought that was cute. And her sisters, he met her older sister and one of her younger sisters. And I don't know. I just don't see it between Gary and Teresa. That's just all I got to say. I don't see it between Gary and Teresa. Again, please feel free to chime in if you guys feel otherwise. Like I said earlier, I am slightly shocked that she has made it as far as she has in this process. Very shocked. Very shocked. But I do think that Teresa is in love with him. But like I said, I don't think he's in love with her. So I do expect to see Teresa going home next week. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I think will happen. Now, after Teresa's date with her family, we move over to Faith's family. Now, Faith, like I said earlier, I honestly have forgotten about Faith throughout this process. I remember her in episode 1 when she got the first impression rose because she rode in on a motorcycle. She sang to him, but after that, I feel like Faith kind of faded to the background. So Faith is having Gary meet her family, right? And it was her sister and her children and her grandkids, right? Her, I will say, all the women's grandkids were so cute. And Faith is worried about the fact that, so Faith lives in the country and Gary is from a country, but his country is still kind of city like, whereas her country is rural country, because she said that she can ride her horses into the city. So she's just worried that Gary won't be able to fit into this. And Gary told her, no, he's fine. He can definitely absolutely fit in. Do I think that's true? I don't know. I I feel like Gary, like I said earlier, I don't think Gary wants to hurt these women's feelings. So he kind of walks on eggshells a little bit. That's what I think. But like I said, I do think that Gary does like Faith, but I don't think he likes. It's interesting. It's interesting because I can't really put it into. I do believe he likes Faith. I don't think that he is in love with Faith. And I know that they did say "I love you" as they were getting ready to leave. But I'm going to say one more time. In the end, I really don't think that Gary's going to choose Faith. I think it's Leslie that he's going to pick. I think it's Leslie. But I want to know everybody's thoughts and opinions, right? One other thing with Faith. Faith and her sister look absolutely alike. They look exactly alike. Her sons look alike. Like everybody in her family looks alike. Very much so, they all look alike. And then the last person was Leslie. So Leslie is introducing Gary to her sons and her daughter, as well as her grandkids and her older brother. Now she did tell us that her brother is like like a father, her father, right? Because she was 16 years old and her father took her to school. And when she got out of school, her brother came to pick her up because their dad had passed away. And so she said that her brother told her that he was her new dad. And I was like, "Aw, okay." I mean, I'm cool with that. So he talked to her brother. Her daughter talked to her, and she was like, she's looking at her mom. Her mom is her best friend, and she can definitely tell that her mom is in love with Gary. And I'll notice when Gary was asked by Leslie's family as well as with Faith's family if he was in love with them, his answer was completely different from what he said to Teresa's family. Because especially with Leslie's sons, he said to her sons, he kind of hemmed and hawed and paused a little bit, but he ultimately did say yes, he does think he has fallen in love with her. And even after he left with Teresa, he then did say he thinks he's fallen in love with Teresa, but I just don't think that he is. I do believe that he has stronger feelings for Leslie. That's where I lean more towards, you guys. That's where I lean towards. But yeah, so we got down to the final rose ceremony, you guys. And so he gave the first rose to Leslie. And then he got down to his last rose. So it is the last rose is between Teresa and between Faith. And like I said, I do ultimately believe that it is going to be Teresa whose time is up. But Gary, in his emotional state, he stopped the ceremony and he had to go collect himself because he knows what he wants. He knows who he wants to send home, but it's kind of hard for him to do that. He doesn't want to, again, like I said, he doesn't want to hurt anybody in this process. And I have to say that I absolutely respect Gary for that. I have nothing but, an immense amount of respect for Gary. So that is the end that's where the episode ended. And like I said, next week we will pick back up with this rose ceremony right here, and then we'll go into the women tell all. And so yeah, like I said, you guys, I am very, 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 very interested in the Golden Bachelor. I think it is a great show. If you guys are not watching it, definitely go check it out. And once again, I do apologize for not doing the reviews like on a regular basis. The last two, episode 4 and 5, I do apologize about that. It's just been a busy few weeks at work. So yeah, but this week we are back on time. We'll be doing the Golden Bachelor live on Friday, I believe. Maybe Friday. I'll have to see what my schedule is looking like. If I can do it on the same night or if we'll just do it the next day. But keep a lookout for it, you guys. And that is all I got. If I did miss anything that you guys wanted to discuss, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. I'm going to get off of here, and I will see you guys again later for Love and Marriage Huntsville and Power Book 4 Force. And then tomorrow, Married to Medicine and Real Housewives of Potomac return. So, as always, you guys stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.